Hey, welcome into A Cup of Hoops, sponsored by Synergy. I'm your host, Ryan Mass at Gasso Mass. I'm joined by Blue Zertucci and a special guest, Gasso Linden. Obviously, y'all know him. He's a big deal. Um, Let me get going on the housekeeping, and we'll jump right into players. We've got some fun topics today, and we're excited to get this thing going. But if you are not a subscriber to the Gasso Fast Break, like that needs to happen. The coming weeks are about to be bonkers. We got the Taps and Independent watch list. If you haven't seen the UIL watch list, the regional groups, Lyndon did a great job putting those together. And like I said, Taps and Independent coming soon. We've got JUCO coverage from last weekend. Everything about that event went great. Team rankings, which will also be free and put out on Twitter, but we have the 2025 rankings, which will be behind the Gasso Fast Break paywall, along with the 26 rankings, and those will be coming before the season starts. Not practice, before games start. That will be out. And we also want to just say good luck to all the programs ramping up this week. It is that time of year, and we appreciate the invites to practice, and if something works out, maybe we'll make it happen. Some exciting news from me. The Recruiting Simplified newsletter is starting this week to become the Recruiting Simplified community. I'm moving from newsletter to kind of Patreon, which it's just a little more dynamic for me. I can do interviews with coaches, live Q&As, YouTube videos. I can do a lot more things. So I'm going to start that. And it will continue with my recruiting posts and my newsletters weekly, but it's going to be a lot more content. And you're going to be able to dialogue with me if you're a part of the community. So that's exciting.
I'll just brag for you. I mean, that community has just grown in such a short period of time because of the free content that you give out, the hints, the parents can just go onto the newsletter and learn so much. And then if you really want the guts, then you go straight to you get onto that Patreon and really get going on your recruitment.
Yeah, I appreciate the shout out, Blue. But I'm very passionate about the recruitment process, and I want to help at a good price point. So that matters to us. If you're not following us, make sure you are. We're on X, we're on Insta, we're on YouTube. I think we got the TikTok going. I guess I'm too old for that. But we're live there. Just make sure you're tapped into everything that we're doing, because it is media season for the Gasso team, and we couldn't be more excited for that. But before we talk players, let's talk recruiting. What are some tangible things recruits can be doing right now? And I'm going to pass it to you, Blue, first. Then Lyndon will go, and then I'll kind of wrap us up.
Yeah, I think right here is it's where you have to go out and learn the different levels. You personally, not just by speaking it, but actually seeing it. As I've talked about before, if you go to a Division III or an NAIA or a JUCO, usually those are free just to get in. We spend so much time and resources during the spring and summer traveling all over the state, traveling all over the country to get in front of college coaches. Now here's a time to kind of slow it down for a few minutes, go out into your own community, or maybe have to take a 30, 45-minute drive and go watch some of these games. We have access to high majors and to the mid majors with all of the college basketball that goes on a weekly basis. But take the time to go out there, see the speed, see what the coaches do, see what the players, look at the ages of the players that are on different rosters when it comes to the NAI and Division III and D2s and the JUCOs. I think that's very important. And also, something that was very exciting to see this past weekend that I'm about to throw over to Lyndon was just the junior college basketball and that avenue to be able to go through to get to the next point, whether it's a Division II or low major or mid major or so forth. The JUCO game looked very strong and healthy this weekend, Lyndon, and we saw a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah, then that's something that I'll talk about at length, because our biggest audience is based in Texas. We're a Texas-based company, and we're blessed to have a strong. There's 25 JUCOs in the state that we have seen over the past 2 weekends, and basically, it's guys that I've covered since they were freshmen, sophomores, and seeing them develop and not just be, oh, that kid has upside. Now they're kind of turning into like grown men and fully capitalizing on that development. So there's a lot of avenues to get into the college game. but being able to identify what route you're willing to take, which the JUCO game, as we saw this last weekend, Blue, is a very strong route for a lot of kids, because there's a lot of kids who we kind of had questions marks about their senior year in high school, but seeing them 8 months later as freshmen on the JUCO Jamboree showcase that we had at the Colony last weekend, wow, because they have developed at a rapid rate since their graduation even.
Man, that's a great word. So just to kind of wrap it in a bow, watch all levels, consider your route, and JUCO is a very, very viable route right now. And then I'm just going to get into some weeds here. Get the Common App done. Seniors, I'm talking to you. Get the transcript from the counselor. If you can get it, access it online, like get that PDF ready, have it on your phone. And then start preparing for the FAFSA, because that is December 1st. That drops December 1st. And when you are applying to these schools, the money that they give out are on a first come, first serve basis. So you just want to have all your ducks in a row. Even, I know there was a big FAFSA delay last year, but just get it done and get it ready as fast as you possibly can. And I know a lot of these schools actually are kind of creating FAFSA algorithms to guess because they don't want to be put in the position they were last year. So just get your ducks in a row. Well, let's talk players, and let's go with team rankings, okay? And, team rankings are fun because it's like we do player rankings, obviously, and there's a different kind of like tension with the team rankings, and it plays out a little bit cleaner necessarily than players, because they have to put it on the court, and we have to we see who wins the championship. And so who's just a team that, is in the top 25, who you're going to be trying to scooch up a little bit further, or a team maybe that's on the fringe, maybe outside looking in, that you're going to be pushing to get in? And I'm going to pass it to you, Blue. Who's that team for you?
San Antonio O'Connor. Like, how many times have they just gone out from year to year and go win 25 plus games a year? And that they, last year they wound up in the regional finals versus Stony Point. After they beat Lake Travis. Like, this is just a program that just continues to kind of roll out the players for just multiple levels here. But overall, they're a well-coached team. They're balanced, with Evan Herrera as your point guard. He's going to be able to score and set up his teammates. They have a couple of bigs that they're going to be really excited to showcase here during the season that were not at the Gasso because they were banged up. But overall, this is a team that has traditionally shown that they can win some big games, and they're going to be in a very big district, if I'm not mistaken, Lyndon. With Brennan and with Harlan. So I mean, they're going to have to really. They're obviously no one's talking about them, but we are here. Will we get them into the top 25? I don't know if we can see 3 teams from the same district down there in the top 25, but we'll see. I'm going to push the envelope with y'all.
Yeah, I love it, Lyndon.
Yeah, and speaking of 3 teams in district, there's already in my projections going to be some 4 teams from the same district all receiving votes in the conversation, just because there's a lot of talented districts. But I'm going to focus on Pearland for my team. Houston is going to be very interesting how the chips fall in the 6A rankings. There's a lot of teams that have strong cases, we got to see a bunch of them 2 weekends ago at the MI3 Center. And Pearland was one of those that I think, they're kind of in that first group. I mean, of the top 30 teams, I think they're firmly entrenched there. We'll see how things fall with them actually getting into the rankings. But with their junior class alone, with Avon Glover, Byron Bibbs, Devin Brown, I mean, these guys are talented, and I think they can make some real waves in Houston in Region 3 this year.
That's a good word. I'm going to jump in here and talk about Birdville. I just think they're a staple now, year in and year out. They're a lock for 20-plus wins every season, it seems. They're always in a tough district, and they always seem to kind of wiggle their way in and make noise in the playoffs. But, Sawyer Dotson's been pretty undeniable. I got to watch them at the Gasso Fall Tour. Went back and kind of rewound the tape, and he was just really good. And I got to see him do some things that I really, haven't seen, and it just was really good to like see him kind of continue to elevate his game and turn the corner. They've got some awesome guard play with Trent Bowers, Avery Webb, who's getting healthier. Big Gabe Zachariah, I think is his last name. He's getting healthy. And I was actually texting with their head coach the other day, and I sent him a picture of Sawyer had kind of an isolation post up, and I just saw the whole team rotate and space the floor. And I said, I watch a lot of high school basketball, and I said, 2 out of every 10 teams does this, like where they space the floor, they recognize the mismatch, they got out of the way. You have players saying, "Get him the ball." It was just really cool to watch. And Holman watching from a coaching perspective is like, well, they need a 45 cut here, and they missed it. I was like, brother, dude, they're getting it. We're still early in October. You're gonna have that stuff nailed down by the season. But it's a team that I'm always gonna be pushing because they play a fun brand of basketball and they always get wins. So Birdville for me. Let's talk player rankings. 2025 specifically, who's a player that you'll personally be like, no, this guy's going up? Who is that guy for you, Blue?
Oh, Malachi Hubbard. And you know what? I was looking at some of our notes that we talked about yesterday, and I didn't push back enough on y'all. And so in a couple of days here, starting tomorrow when we start looking at those 2025, I don't care what y'all say. I've already, I've already recommended him to many colleges here, and I kind of threw my neck out. I'm not going to tell you who, but I threw my neck out there on one and go, I might be a little bit too much, but that's okay. This guy has the body, has the strength to go out there, compete. The one thing that I noticed, and I think once again, Lyndon, you and I were passing by each other, we both saw the same thing, is even though he wasn't getting the ball, what happened was he was getting into his opponent, whether it was on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side. If he wasn't touching the ball on the offensive end, he was still making things happen because he knows how to like turn and face the basket and push his postman, his defender down to the baseline as he kind of gives himself a little bit of a lane to go get these rebounds. And I can't tell you if I even saw him score in one stretch that I was watching for about 3-4 minutes. But he made things happen because you know what? He wasn't looking frustrated. He wasn't mad at his teammates. He just went out there and played basketball and controlled what he could do to help that team at that particular time.
Love that kid. I'll always say it. I think he walls up better than just about anyone in the state. Like he makes a huge impact in the middle of that point zone. Lyndon, who's this guy for you?
Yeah, a guy that I saw 2 weekends ago, and that's David Chung from Dickinson. Not just a scorer, not just somebody who's going to go get 20 plus, but as somebody who I feel like has turned into a more complete point guard prospect where, Dickinson has some size and some talent, and he's able to feed them the ball when they need it, but also he's going to be able to beat his defender one-on-one, get to the paint, make good things happen, create good shots for his team. So, he's a guy that I'm looking at moving up in this new 2025 ranking.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with some low-hanging fruit here, but Jalen Finner, my gosh, he was awesome in the game that we watched against Houston Legacy. He just plays. He's got great size, great athleticism, moves side to side incredibly well for the size, and he's just such a decisive player. Defensively, if there's a ball in the area, it's a turn and sprint. There's no hesitation. If he's guarding the ball, he's putting the pressure on you to do something, and then he's gonna force you into making mistakes. And then on the offensive side, he just continues to get better. Especially, we know his calling card getting downhill, but I like the jump shot. I think it's starting to look better and better and better. He's clearly putting in the work, and he is a no-brainer for me to slide on up the rankings. He had an amazing spring, summer, and now fall. So who's this guy in the 26? Lyndon, I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, and Blue, we both love this guy in the San Antonio fall tour with how he ran the floor. But Mark Anthony, San Antonio Johnson, just long, trim forward who can do a lot of things. He's not just this, run up the floor, dunk everything type of guy. He's added some game to his bag. Picked up a Tarleton offer over the weekend and has just kind of really continued to ascend from when he first came on our radar and looked really good in the fall. And I'm excited to see him again this season.
Blue?
DJ Ogomeka from Dallas WT White. Kind of low hanging fruit for me. You're going to give me a big man. This is one of the best in the class right now. And you talk about a guy that just plays with a lot of instinct. This is him. DJ can get into the middle of the paint and just get to the basket and go finish. There's one thing that he has worked on a little bit, as you can tell, as we saw early on in September, was like a little bit of a face-up game where he can go and get one dribble, then get to the basket. I think that the biggest thing is that his size, his shoulders, his arms, his body is just made for that middle of the paint to be able to go and compete, and he moves so well, and he's going to get up and down the floor and deal with any kind of athlete that I think that you throw at him. I think that he still has some growing to do positionally, but overall, this is a guy that just is going to just go up, I think, as we'll see naturally starting tomorrow and the next day when we start looking at these rankings a little deeper.
Yeah, good call. I'm going to round us out here. And again, this seems like low-hanging fruit. I'm talking about a top 10 cat. Obviously, I'm going to say he's higher than that. I'm going to say he's higher than top 5, right? But we hold, the top of the rankings are very, very long and drawn-out part of our rankings. Like, it takes us a lot of time to get through them. But, man, Austin Gooseby has just been deniable. And we had him at 6 in the last rankings, and I'm going to be pushing up really high. And in my personal rankings, he's gonna be sitting at a number that may turn some eyes. So I'm really excited for him. If you haven't seen him, just like throw on some film, go look on Twitter. He's phenomenal, so smooth, so good side to side, and just a natural athlete. I loved him as a freshman, and he's just continued to get better and better. So again, probably some low hanging fruit, but you know what? I don't care. And when we go to rankings, you got to prepare in our room, or you'll get exposed. Just like on the court, like we've got it ready. We're making our plans. So that's going to wrap up this edition of Cup of Hoops. We so appreciate you, and we hope you join all of our follow us on social and join our communities. Thanks.